Paxos standard token arriving on Binance. Well, Jason Fernandes, CEO and co-founder of AEToken, joins us on the line. Jason, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Now, this is a really interesting one. We're seeing Paxos standard token arriving on Binance. And I think the big question on everyone's lips is this bad news for Tether? Will this change anyone's attitude to Tether?
Yeah, I mean, definitely in the short term, it's bad news for Tether because before Paxos was included as a base pair, people had to first change their crypto. If you were using Paxos, you'd have to first change Paxos into Tether before you could trade on any of the Binance pairs. But now you can trade directly with Paxos, so there's not much use to trade to turn into Tether first. So in the short term, that's going to hurt Tether, and also. While it's been by far the most used cryptocurrency as stablecoin on Binance, Tether, it's been ailing for a while. They've had major issues lately, so now's a good time to experiment with a new stablecoin. And I guess because now you don't need to convert into Tether first, you're going to have a lot more volume trading directly between Paxos pairs, and as volume with Paxos pairs increases, you're going to see more and more pairs. Binance putting out more and more pairs directly with Paxos, so that would hurt Tether in the short term.
And in 2017, for example, we only saw really Tether was just dominating the stablecoin market. 2018, this year, we've seen kind of a large range of different stablecoins, whether it's fiat-backed, gold-backed, other commodities as well. Could you say that there's room for more than one stablecoin, or do you think right now this is just kind of the fight for survival, and eventually we'll get to a point where there's only really one dominant stablecoin that is being used on exchanges?
I think you're going to see a lot of variation with stablecoins. So you're going to see like different kind of stablecoins. You're going to see stablecoins that are backed by crypto, for example, like partially collateralized by crypto. You're going to see collateralized stablecoins, more collateralized stablecoins like Tether and like Paxos. But you'll also see partially collateralized stablecoins like Nico Finance and companies like that.
And how much do you think that investors look into kind of how each of these stablecoins are audited, how they remain stable, as it were? I know in 2017 there was some speculation around Tether, and that still has continued into this year also. How much can people ensure that actually these do remain stable?
So obviously, due diligence has been a problem in the cryptocurrency industry for a while. But I think the people that are in the know do their research, and partly the increased scrutiny around Tether is why it's led to so many other stable coins coming out like USDC or GUSD. These are all sort of a reaction to the fact that Tether has had so much controversy lately.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your insights so far. We'll join with you later on the show to touch on this in a little bit more detail. Thank you. Are we seeing a shift into the stablecoin market? Well, Jason Fernandes joins us on the line from AEToken. So, Jason, touching back from where we left off earlier on in the show, I think what's interesting to note here is that we have seen some interesting moves from Paxos standard token since the announcement of it being listed, and that's something which has intrigued a lot of people as well. So we saw some interesting moves from the price on Binance. Does institutional money, do they look to stablecoins as a valuation of how well the cryptocurrency markets are doing? And does this lead to the hope of greater adoption in the future, the fact that we are seeing a stable backed cryptocurrency?
Yeah, so obviously having something like stable coins definitely make it easier for institutional investors to invest in things like cryptocurrency. And yes, you're right, that does increase the level of trust around stablecoins. But the fact is that stablecoins don't quite fulfill the promise of cryptocurrency, really. I mean, they're very centralized, they're highly regulated by their very nature. So the fact that stablecoins exist and more people are investing in it doesn't necessarily translate so well to whether they would invest in other cryptocurrencies or the cryptocurrency market in general. It's more like a situation of having like increased convenience, where you have all the convenience of a fiat currency, all the convenience of a cryptocurrency, but with the regulation of a fiat currency.
Right, so do you think that's the main use case for them? Because a lot of people would also say that actually they would be appealed by Tether, for example, as a cross trade. Also, from the point that if there is a volatile moment in the markets, you can move all of your assets to a safe haven crypto. Which one do you think is the most popular use case at the moment for stablecoins?
So I would say clearly both. I mean, a stablecoin that protects a stablecoin protects against market volatility. So obviously, it makes it a better store of value. And when you look at conventional cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, they fluctuate so wildly in prices that their purchasing power and their command over goods and services is highly unstable. So they're unattractive as a units of account, and no grocer or worker would want to accept Bitcoin as any sort of long-term payment system, especially if that is a fixed number of those units. So it's because of you have so much instability in the general crypto markets. Like a stablecoin does act as somewhat of a hedge against that, and so that works both as like something to use as an interim trading situation to where to hold some crypto in a stable coin temporarily while the crypto market is going crazy, but also it helps as a store of wealth. So I mean, if you wanted to store, just use it as a store of value. Obviously, a stable coin would hold its place. So that would be something that you look at if you're looking at stability.
And what's interesting about this, so we're seeing the new cryptocurrencies. The need for cryptocurrencies is definitely diversifying, and cryptocurrencies themselves are diversifying in their assets and their use cases. What will we see from stablecoins going forward? Because we've mentioned really they serve one main purpose, which is price stability. Will we start to see that expand a little bit, and stablecoins being able to do a little bit more and have a bit of a broader reach in the market?
So thus far, we've seen mostly stable coins that are like on a 1-to-1 ratio with the US dollar or with any sort of other fiat cryptocurrency. So USDT is obviously 1-to-1. Paxos is also 1-to-1. But that also implies that you have to actually the person has to actually store all that fiat in order for it to be backed by crypto. You're going to start seeing new versions, like I was saying earlier. You're going to start seeing new versions of stable coins coming out where you'll have, obviously this would be termed a collateralized stable coin, but then you're going to see partially collateralized stable coins. So like, for example, Nico Finance, but also you're going to start seeing stable coins that are collateralized by other cryptos. So it sort of acts as a store of, sort of backed by other cryptocurrencies. So you're going to see some sort of like a mix of cryptocurrencies that are backing certain stable coins. So that's sort of some of the stuff that you'll see in the future as stable coins become more, useful.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your insights so far. We'll join with you for a final time throughout today's show. Well, we're discussing Paxos Standard Token being listed on Binance, and Jason Fernandes joins us on the line for a final time today. Now, Jason, I think something interesting to note about this is Binance is normally quite selective about the tokens that they do tend to list on the site. Why do you think that we've seen Paxos Standard Token be listed now? It's quite a critical time. We are seeing the markets in a bear market, volatile to say the least, and we've seen a bit of a market crash. Are they correlated at all? Is there a reason that Paxos Standard Token was listed?
Yeah, exactly. Right on the head. I think the fact that the crypto markets are so unstable right now has actually led to a market for a really stable cryptocurrency, a really stable coin, and we haven't really found that's the case with Tether. I mean, Tether, like I sort of alluded to earlier, has been really controversial because some people are alleging that maybe they don't have the fiat currency that's actually supposedly backing it, that doesn't really exist. They've also been accused of possibly manipulating the BTC price by sort of creating Tether sort of out of nowhere, in a sense, behaving like a fractional reserve cryptocurrency. So there's so much problems with Tether lately that's led to things like Gemini and other stable coins, because we need a stable coin. The market really needs a stable coin that is legitimate and has been fairly properly audited. So that's sort of one of the reasons why it's coming up. But there's also certain bad effects of stable coins. So, for example, like the problem with Paxos is that the government actually has direct ability to freeze people's accounts and to burn people's coins, and that has been a criticism about Paxos because that sort of is the opposite of what people expect with cryptocurrency, because sort of cryptocurrency's idea is decentralization. But CZ, the CEO of Binance, has said earlier that regulated stablecoins serve as sort of a middle ground where regulators can maintain control, but its token still has far more freedom than a traditional fiat for users. So there's sort of that trade-off that CZ or Binance is looking at. But you have to also consider that it's not really adhering to the promise of cryptocurrencies.
And you made some really interesting points there, especially what CZ has spoken out and said, because I think if we look at it, stablecoins are almost the market maturing in some way. We have these visionaries, the people that really believe in blockchain technology, and they wouldn't necessarily agree that for example, Paxos, even though the price of the dollars do fluctuate, they're held in FDIC-issued US banks and audited regularly. That's something which people that are originally from the blockchain space maybe will pull against that. But what we're saying is actually that is a quite nice gateway for people that are looking to be introduced into the market. So you think in the future, more people will use stablecoins? There's more of an appeal there.
Well, I mean, I think it'll certainly serve as like a gateway drug for many people that are first getting into cryptocurrency for the first time. But I don't think the people that truly believe in the promise of cryptocurrency and the promise of decentralization are really think these things are a good idea to where most people are investing in it. Most people really ought to invest in like cryptocurrencies that are actually backed by, like some sort of principle where they're actually being used within some sort of system like a utility token. But the people that like maybe would not get into cryptocurrency at all, this forms like a really good like middle ground, because especially like if they were to own Paxos and now that Paxos is on Binance and you have so many different pairs, it becomes so much easier to trade between Paxos and other cryptocurrencies, and so that makes it easier, and then it sort of acts as like a gateway for people that would normally not get into crypto.
What's interesting is everyone talks about the gateway into crypto, but actually it's also the gateway away from fiat. You don't have to trade Bitcoin with fiat anymore. You can trade Bitcoin with a stable coin. So actually it has a complete vice versa use as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Right. It's also, not only is it a gateway into crypto, but it's also a gateway out of fiat, because like as a one-to-one, when you have like a one-to-one relationship, you have all the benefits of crypto in terms of like being able to transfer it and not really have a lot of fees and stuff like that, have it all done electronically. But then you have the safety of regulation and a tightly regulated cryptocurrency where, especially with Paxos, where essentially the government has admin right access and law enforcement can like freeze or seize coins, which to me sounds really dangerous in general. But I guess to a lot of people that are pro-regulation, they may see that as an increased safety.
Well, you've made some really interesting points there. Thank you so much for your time today, Jason. It was an absolute pleasure.